Thank you, sir. I am Dr. Mustafa Aziz Shumon. Welcome you all in our weekly arranged virtual academic session. Today is our speaker, Dr. Shahida Alom. She will cover combined modalities treatment in non-small cell lung cancer. It's an honor to say a few words regarding Dr. Shahida Alom. She is one of the brightest oncologists I have ever seen. Not only that, she came in this subject with the brightest academic career. She is very student focused and academic person. Besides Dr. Shahida Alom, we have three overseas faculties. They are supposed to join anytime in this program. Dr. JP Joy Prakash Agarwal, very well-known face, Dr. John Conivier, and Dr. Ullash Batra. So we do have our chairman, Professor M.A. Heiser. With kind permission of with the chair, I would like to request Professor M.A. Heiser to start this program officially.
Forget all these formalities. Let's start immediately.
Sure. Should I share the screen now?
Yes, over to Dr. Shahida Alom.
Yeah. So good evening and welcome you all. And thank you so much, Dr. Shumon, for this fantastic introduction, which reminded me once again how blessed I am having such wonderful colleagues around me. And thank you, the organizer, and thanks the organizer for giving me this opportunity to be here. So before get started, my honest confession, nowadays I'm not a very right person for a lung malignancy. So I'm requesting the panelists and the faculties, please correct me at any point if I'm wrong. So let's get started with the topic combined modality treatment for non-small cell lung cancer. So what is it? Combined modality approaches, including surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy, have led to a clear improvement of treatment results in localized non-small cell lung cancer. But I have been told by the organizer to focus only on the chemoradiation part, not the surgery. So I will be talking on combined chemoradiation with the outline of scopes of chemoradiation in non-small cell lung cancer, rationale of chemoradiation, optimum sequencing, radiation therapy principles, chemotherapy regimens used with radiation, and toxicities of combined treatment. So what are the scopes of combined chemoradiation is in non-small cell lung cancer? Whenever we are looking for the indications or recommendation of any treatment modalities, we always look at the NCCN guidelines. So here is what the NCCN guidelines recommend. So don't get scared with this busy slide. Just have a look that NCCN has recommended combined chemoradiotherapy in different settings, in different stages of lung cancer. So as I summarized the previous five slides, so the scopes of combined chemoradiation therapy in non-small cell lung cancer, which are recommended by NCCN guidelines and other professional bodies, that we can use combined modality as in a neoadjuvant setting for resectable stage 3A non-small cell lung cancer, that is the limited end-to disease, which can be treated resected by lobectomy. And the neoadjuvant adjuvant chemoradiation is indicated in resectable superior sulcus tumor. We can use this combined modality in adjuvant setting for surgically resected early stage tumor if the margin is positive, or it is upstaged surgically to N2 plus disease. And of course, we use combined modality as a definitive or radical treatment in medically inoperable stage 2, that is node positive, and stage 3 non-small cell lung cancer, which included in unresectable 3A, 3B, and 3C. Whenever we offer the combined treatment to a patient, the questions remain, Does the use of radiotherapy and chemotherapy in combination improve survival rates among selected patients with non-small cell lung cancer? Does the use of combined treatment reduces the risk of local recurrence? Is it too toxic? What are the evidences? Let's have a look at the evidences. So first, in the neoadjuvant setting for superior sulcus tumor, long-term results of Southeast Oncology Group trial 9416, which was published in JCO in 2007, looked at the induction chemoradiation and surgical resection for superior sulcus non-small cell lung carcinoma. And they found the conventional treatment of radiation plus surgery yields 50% rate of complete resection and 30% 5-year survival. But when chemoradiation therapy was delivered before surgery, 76% had complete resection, pathological complete response, or minimal microscopic disease was seen in 56% of patients. And 5-year survival was 44% of all patients and 54% after complete resection, which was encouraging. The most controversial group, that is the stage 3 lung cancer, a meta-analysis which was published in Nature in 2016, which included 12 randomized trial and about 2,700 patients, which compare neoadjuvant chemotherapy, chemoradiation versus chemotherapy alone, followed by surgery for resectable stage 3 non-small cell lung cancer. And in the analysis of their result, from this forest plot, you can see that in respect of tumor downstaging and mediastinal lymph node complete pathological response, that favors the chemoradiotherapy arm over the chemotherapy arm. And in response of local control, it was improved in chemoradiation arm than the chemotherapy arm. But in spite of these two results, surprisingly, the 5-year overall survival and progression-free survival were not different between the two arms, that is induction chemotherapy or induction chemoradiation. So the authors concluded that there were numerous limitations of some studies. Some studies was too small and they were clearly underpowered to give an adequate result in favor of chemoradiotherapy. So the NCCN panel divided into two. 50% were in favor of induction chemotherapy and 50% institution were in favor of induction chemoradiotherapy. Regarding the adjuvant treatment of adjuvant modality as a chemoradiation, this paper was published in the Annals of Thoracic Surgery in 2015, the impact of adjuvant treatment for microscopic residual disease after non-small cell lung cancer surgery, which showed postoperative administration of both chemotherapy and radiation were associated with superior survival compared with surgery alone in all stages. Stage pathological 1, that was 44 versus 35%. For stage 2, that was 33 versus 21%. And for stage 3, it was 30% versus 12%. From these Kaplan-Meier graphs, you can clearly see that the combined chemoradiation arms has a clear benefit in overall survival in all stages over chemotherapy alone, radiation alone, or no adjuvant therapy. So it is recommended that in a margin positive or into disease, a post-operative radiotherapy should be given. So regarding the definitive chemoradiation in stage 3 lung cancer, this publication from Journal of the National Cancer Institute improved survival in stage 3 non-small cell lung cancer. 7-year follow-up of cancer and leukemia group, that is CLG, after more than 7 years of follow-up, the median survival remains greater for the chemo-RT group, that was 13.7 months, than for the RT group, which was 9.6 months. So for this, based on these evidences, the panel recommends the chemoradiation in different settings in different stages of non-small cell lung cancer. Now come to the sequencing for chemoradiation. What should be the right sequencing? So the ASCO guidelines summarize the recommendation of the sequencing of chemoradiation. So based on some phase 3 evidence, concurrent chemoradiation is preferred because it improves the overall survival, local control, and response rate compared against sequential chemotherapy, followed by radiation. But for patients who cannot tolerate concurrent chemotherapy, sequential chemotherapy followed by radical radiation has been shown to be associated with an overall survival benefit when compared to radiation alone. Radiotherapy alone may be used for definitive radical treatment in patients with a very poor general condition. So there is the evidence in favor of concurrent chemoradiation. This is a meta-analysis of concomitant versus sequential chemoradiotherapy in locally advanced non-small cell lung cancer, which was published in Journal of Clinical Oncology in 2010, which included 7 trials. And there were a significant benefit of concomitant radiochemotherapy on overall survival with an absolute benefit of 5.7% at 3 years and 4.5% at 5 years. Concomitant treatment decreased locoregional progression, but it has no effect, which is very much different, not very much different from the sequential treatment on distant progression. So this forest plot clearly showed the benefit of concomitant chemoradiation over the sequential chemoradiation in terms of overall survival and disease-free survival. So as I'm a radiation oncologist, so it is the most interesting part for me, the radiation therapy principles. So the critical goal of modern radiation therapy is to maximize the tumor dose while minimizing the normal tissue toxicity. So to address this issue, a minimum technological standard is CT-PLAN 3D-CRT for a concomitant chemoradiation. More advanced technologies are appropriate to deliver curative RT safely. So more advanced technologies, we can use 4D CT and or PET CT simulation for better localization and motion, the tumor get localization. We can use IMRT or VMET, a prospective trial that compare IMRT and 3D CRT in definitive treatment chemoradiation in stage 3 lung cancer showed this IMRT and 3D CRT is comparable in terms of overall survival, disease-free survival, and local control. But IMRT is associated with a fairly 60% reduction in the rate of severe radiation pneumonitis. So IMRT reduces the toxicity. So it is preferable if it is available. Then we can use the IGRT, proton therapy, and motion management for curative delivery of curative RT safely. So first we start the radiation planning with the simulation. So it should be performed using CT scan obtained in the treatment radiation treatment position with appropriate immobilization devices. IV contrast with or without oral contrast should be given, especially for central tumor or nodal disease. P-contrast scan should be taken if intense enhancement is present that can affect tissue heterogeneity connection. So we have to take 2 scans, one before the contrast and another after contrast. Tumor and organ motion is very, very important because there is without that there is every chance of missing the target during the radiotherapy. So that should be assessed and accounted for at simulation, and it should be done ideally by 4D CT. But if the 4D CT is not available, then we can use slow scan CT, fluoroscopy in 2D simulator, or exhale inhale techniques. So the superiority of PET CT over the conventional CT simulation is that it significantly improves targeting accuracy in patients with atelectasis And when IV-CT contrast is contraindicated, that time we should use the PET-CT. Regarding the definition of target volume, we should follow the ICRO report 62 and 83. The GTB, the gross tumor volume, is the known extent of the disease, primary and nodal, on imaging and pathological assessment. CTB should include presumed microscopic extent or disseminations. And CTB should include the bronchial stump and high-risk draining lymph node station in post-operative radiotherapy. And PTB margin should consider the margin for target motion and setup margin. It is very important for a consistent delineation for a radiation oncologist. So RTOG Consensus Lung Contouring Atlas is a useful resource for consistent delineation. Planning and dose calculation. Photon beam energies between 4 to 10 MV are recommended according to the anatomical location of tumor and the beam path. Tissue heterogeneity correction and accurate dose calculation algorithms are recommended. Respiratory motion should be managed when excessive. Otherwise, there is every chance of missing the tumor and more dose to the normal tissue. So we can manage that by forced shallow breathing with abdominal compression, beam gating with respiratory cycle, dynamic tumor tracking, and active breathing control, or ABC. Treatment should be verified during the first setting and based on the institutional protocol twice or thrice weekly by orthogonal pair planar imaging or volumetric imaging, that is CBCT or CT on rail. So now the very important thing, what should be the ideal dose of radiation in the concurrent setting. So this is the recommendation from ASCO guidelines. In the context of conventionally fractionated radiotherapy, a minimum dose of 60 Gray is recommended to optimize important clinical outcomes such as local control. The standard thoracic radiotherapy dose fractionation for patients treated with concurrent chemotherapy is 60 Gray, given in 2 Gray once daily fraction over 6 weeks. Dose escalation beyond 60 Gray with conventional fractionation has not been demonstrated to be associated with any clinical benefit, including overall survival. Previously, it was believed that if we escalate the dose, there is more chance of local control, more disease-free survival or overall survival. But from this study, it has been proved wrong. Historic RTOG 9311 trial established the dose escalation up to 74 Gray, but the same author later in RTOG 0617 trial concluded that 64 Gray with concurrent chemotherapy does not improve survival and might be harmful when compared with 60 Gray. So now the standard dose, it should be minimum 60 Gray. So the prescription dose and fractionation for different setting, for definitive RT with or without chemotherapy, the standard dose should be 60 to 70 Gray and 2 Gray per fraction. For preoperative RT, it should be 45 to 54 Gray. But we have to plan the upfront for the definitive radiotherapy in preoperative setting also. Because if the patient can't go for surgery for any reason, then we have to continue the radiation without any gap between the two phases. And regarding the postoperative RT, if the margin is negative, then the recommended dose is 50 to 54 Gray. But if extracapsular nodal extension on microscopic positive margin, then we have to boost another dose and to reach up to 60 Gray. And for gross residual tumor, recommended dose is like definitive RT, 60 to 70 Gray. To reduce the toxicity, we should always honor the normal tissue dose constraint. And these are sometimes different for definitive chemoradiation and adjuvant chemoradiation, because after surgery, the lung, the radiation
কি হলো, আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি না তো?
লিমা আপা আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
লিমা কি ডিসকানেক্টেড
After the
হয়ে গেল?
surgery, the lung and mean her dose should be less than.
আমরা শুনতে
Disconnected,
পারি না
sir?
অনেকক্ষণ লিমা আপা।
কখন থেকে
আপনি
শুনতে
এই
পাচ্ছেন না?
এই স্লাইড থেকে বলেন।
স্লাইড থেকে?
হ্যাঁ।
This one? You have heard that one?
নরমাল টিস্যু কনস্ট্যান্ট থেকে আপা।
জি ম্যাডাম,
হ্যাঁ?
পরের স্লাইড থেকে
নরমাল টিস্যু কনস্ট্যান্ট।
এটা?
জি ম্যাডাম, এটা
Dose constant, okay.
Yeah. We should honor the normal tissue dose constant always, because it will otherwise it will increases the toxicity, and sometimes it is different. The constants are difference for definitive chemotherapy and adjuvant setting chemotherapy, because it is believed that after surgery, yeah, after the surgery, the it is more the normal lung is more vulnerable than radiation toxicity. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
ইয়েস ম্যাডাম, ইয়েস।
Yes, okay.
Okay.
You just proceed.
So regarding the normal tissue dose constant, the spinal cord dose should be less than 50 gray. The lung V20 should be less than 35% to 45%, and it should be less than 35% for patient more than 70 years of age, receiving concurrent toxins and some interstitial lung disease. This patient, they should remain less than 35%. And the heart dose that should be 50 less than 25%, and mean heart dose should be less than 20 gray. And esophagus, which is a very important in radiation to the lung, is the mean dose should be less than 34 gray, and maximum 105% of prescription dose is acceptable. And V60 should be less than 17%. And regarding the brachial plexus, median dose should be less than 69 gray. I will not go through in details of chemotherapy. I think there will be another session for this, but in short, there is some chemotherapy regimen that are recommended to use with radiation therapy. So these are divided in for non-squamous histology and squamous histology. For non-squamous histology, we can use carboplatin and pemetrexed combination in day 1 every 21 days for 4 cycles concurrently with thoracic radiation. We can use cisplatin and pemetrexed in the same fashion, but 3 weekly for 3 cycles, and then and concurrent thoracic RT. Plus minus additional 4 cycles of pemetrexed, 500 milligram per meter square. So the additional cycles is recommended that time when the patient hasn't received the full concurrent chemotherapy with radiation. And we can use weekly paclitaxel and carboplatin and additional 2 cycles, 3 weekly, and we can use the cisplatin and etoposide protocol. For squamous histology, the preferred protocol is weekly paclitaxel and carboplatin or cisplatin and etoposide. So for sequential chemotherapy, the panel recommends the chemotherapy regimens that are used in the adjuvant or neoadjuvant setting. You can use this regimen in sequential setting, like the docetaxel and cisplatin, the gemcitabine and cisplatin, the vinorelbine and cisplatin, or paclitaxel or carboplatin, gemcitabine or carboplatin. This protocol you can use as a sequential part of sequential chemotherapy. So the summary recommendation for concurrent chemotherapy is that there is no proven role for the routine use of induction chemotherapy prior to chemoradiotherapy. Although this treatment can be considered for the management of bulky tumors to allow for radical planning after chemotherapy response. So though it is not recommended, but we can use this induction chemotherapy. There are no phase 3 data specifically supporting the role of for consolidation chemotherapy after chemotherapy for the chemoradiotherapy for the improvement of overall survival. However, this treatment is still routinely given to manage potential micrometastatic disease, particularly if full systemic chemotherapy doses were not delivered during radiotherapy. The ideal concurrent chemotherapy regimen has not been demonstrated, but the 2 most commonly used regimens are cisplatin etoposide and carboplatin paclitaxel. So very important is toxicity of combined modality. The factor identified as increasing the risk or severity of toxicity of combined modalities are elderly patient more than 75 years, poor performance status, weight loss, poor lung function, tobacco use, and some comorbidities like candidiasis or reflux disease, hypertension, diabetes, interstitial lung disease, cardiomyopathy, obesity. So patient selection for combined modality is very, very important. Otherwise, it can lead to either the delay in the initiation or interruption of radiation or chemotherapy in the middle with possibility of dose reduction, and which ultimately end up compromising the local control and the survival. So regarding the toxicity, the most important toxicity is acute esophagitis. And this is study that was published in Red Journal, which addressed this issue, that grade 3 or more greater acute symptoms, that is severely altered eating or swallowing, tube feeding, parenteral nutrition, or hospitalization indication occurred in 18% patient undergoing chemoradiation, which sometimes interrupt the treatment. And another important toxicity is radiation pneumonitis and lately pulmonary fibrosis. Some chemotherapy agents that increase the risk of radiation pneumonitis, including docetaxel, gemcitabine, and carboplatin. And the commonly used paclitaxel carboplatin combination also increase the risk of radiation pneumonitis. Another two important toxicities are hematological toxicities, which is very common, and rates of more than grade 3 thrombocytopenia, leukopenia, and granulocytopenia can reach 10%, 17%, 70%, and 71% of patients, which can cause treatment interruption. And cardiac toxicities including ischemic, arrhythmic, and pericardial events, but which is significantly correlated with the radiation dose to the heart and the comorbidity. Cardiac mortality may increase with the concurrent use of paclitaxel. So at the end, my take-home messages are: combined chemoradiation improves local control, reduces distant recurrence, and improves disease-free and overall survival in selected patients of localized non-small cell lung cancer. A minimum technological standard is CT plant 3D CRT. A minimum radiation dose of 60 gray should be given. Concurrent chemoradiation is preferred, but sequential CTRT is appropriate for frail patient unable to tolerate CCRT. Most commonly used regimens are cisplatin etoposide and carboplatin paclitaxel. And last but not the least, appropriate patient selection is very, very crucial. So thank you so much for being with me and for your patience hearing. And I would love to take any question you have.
Thank you, Dr. Shahida Alam, for your nice, elaborative, and very in details presentation. I have found that you have tried to cover every aspects of management regarding locally advanced or not inoperable lung cancer. So I have seen that Joy Prakash Agarwal sir has joined, though he has joined a few slides later. May I request JP sir to say a few words regarding this presentation?
Yeah.
Over to JP Agarwal sir. Sir, can you hear me, sir? JP sir? Okay, probably. Let me check. JP Agarwal sir is there. Okay. Probably sir is not hearing me. By this time, we are proceed with some questions. I hope JP sir will join us soon. Few questions.
Sorry, Suman, I am hearing. There is
sir.
some fluctuation here. Good evening, madam. It was
Yeah.
nice. I have written my notes on the chat.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry there
No,
were some challenges in the system. So my apologies.
Okay, sir, we are familiar with these things.
ওয়ালিদ আমাকে একটু স্ক্রিনটা ঠিক করে দাও না।
So today, দুটো জিনিস হলো আজকে বোম্বেতে unique.
Oh,
First
What?
unique is the corona, which is increasing, and the second, the whole island city went for complete darkness for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
So that's unique, 2020, we will see many things.
Yeah.
Let's come down to topic.
Yeah.
Excellent, madam. So we
Thank
can
you,
have a
sir.
question answer sessions. Please go ahead.
I think you are the right person to answer all the questions regarding radiotherapy of lung. In front of you, I'm feeling so nervous and stressed.
No, madam, I am your younger one.
No, sir,
Just
you are my
continue.
mentor.
Haisav is there. So
Yeah.
absolutely, we have no fear. The big boss is here, so we'll continue.
Don't worry, I am the youngest one. I just don't have to listen and see it. That's all.
Come on.
Just an audience.
No, sir. Pranam, sir. So
Yeah.
we can take first question. Suman, when
Esophagus, if you give the oral contrast, then you can delegate the esophagus more accurately, especially in the central tumor or nodal disease. That time, IV contrast, with IV contrast, oral contrast is also recommended. Okay.
Madam, if I spare esophagus during the 3D CRT. Hello.
Sorry, Dr. Suryana, what your question? Please clearly ask your question.
Okay, madam, যখন আমরা esophagus যদি কন্ট্রোলিং এর সময়
Yeah.
তখন কি আমরা
So it depends on the position of the tumor. Have to give. Yeah. What a, yeah. কি ব্যাপার? আমার internet connection কি হলো?
madam, my next question
Ma,
is
can I just stop you, ma?
Yeah.
Just can I?
Yeah, yeah,
I think, ma, you want to avoid esophagus, right, madam?
yeah.
So, but if you want to avoid a esophagus, you need to see and delineate a esophagus, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason madam was saying in some portion of the esophagus, especially when you are doing a 4D scan, a little bit of oral contrast will help you sometimes in the mid and the lower third. That was the madam's contention. Though many people across the Europe don't put it oral contrast. So that is optional.
So do you routinely give oral contrast, sir, for central tumor?
Yes,
or
madam.
nodal
Yes,
disease?
madam. In our place, it is a mandatory phenomenon.
Not for every patient, no? For peripherally located tumor, you don't give oral contrast?
ম্যাডাম সত্যি বলবো আমরা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড
সবাইকে?
করেছি
Oh,
দিয়ে
সবাইকে।
দাও একটা বেরিয়াম, হ্যাঁ 2 চামচ বেরিয়াম দিলে কিচ্ছু হবে না, সবাইকে দিয়ে দাও।
So that time you take sir, CT, the 1 CT before the contrast, because sometimes it influences the inhomogeneity correction. It can
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম,
interrupt.
so in a really remote patients where the creatinine clearance is not good, and when we are not planning to give a IV contrast, then only we think of not giving any contrast. Regarding the oral contrast, we give really minimalistic at 1 5 cc diluted. We just want a streak to see in the esophagus. It is 5 cc. So we have done at least an exercise in 10 patients consecutive. It has not made any changes in our dose profile, even which is near the esophagus. So we nowadays we have stopped ignoring those things. But it is mandatory the way how we give. It is a thin liquid barium. Liquid, not more than 5 cc. So generally in the old times, they used to give the thick barium and used to be there, which used to call streaks. But nowadays, nothing like that happens, madam.
Thank you,
So
sir.
can they use the IV contrast orally, just swallow it?
Yes, we can do it, but it is very expensive to swallow that.
To give the barium.
So that one bottle comes in 1,000 rupees, 100 cc.
No, diluted water, then drink, not the whole bottle.
Yeah, take that. But what is the point? We have a very cheap one which is so readily available. Yes, you can do it.
Okay. So can I proceed with the next question?
Sir, I have one more question.
Okay, Dr. Surya.
Madam, if we need to hold the treatment during CCRT, what will be the dose adjustment? More than 1 week if gap.
So you were asking your question regarding the gap correction, right?
Gap
Yes.
correction.
Yes.
So I think it was discussed very, very nicely just last week. And Kamal Bhai, can you help me in that? 1 week. So it is in the middle of the treatment, or in the beginning of the treatment, or in the last week of the treatment. It is that is also very important.
During middle of the treatment, one cycle CT is given, then patient deteriorate due to neutropenia, develop. Then what
So
will do?
patient has
So-
taken 2 to 3 weeks of treatment.
Yes,
And
madam.
so
Lima, you want me to help, or you can
yeah.
continue?
Now you can proceed.
Okay, so before, what we used to do, we used to restart the treatment, and at the end of the treatment, we used to add 2 or 3 fraction of doses to do the gap correction. But what we learned from the last lecture of Dr. T. Ganesh, that when we see the patient, then we need to calculate how much dose was given and how much
Given.
dose is remaining.
Limit.
And then we have 2 principles, either to keep the
Compromise.
total BED or to keep the total BED of the
Normal
tumor
tissue. Yeah,
or
or the
normal tissue. So main target is to keep the BED of the tumor exact. Then we need to see what is the effect of the BED of the normal tissue. So this, and another is to keep the treatment time. So that was a nice presentation given, that even by treating twice a day or using the holiday,
Yeah.
we can
Holiday.
try to keep the total treatment
Yeah.
day intact, or as much as possible to our main
Yeah.
original target. So that is, there are multiple options we can do, not like before. So end of the day, we need to calculate.
Or even we can increases the fraction size sometimes. Sometimes with the help of the
That is how we can do.
yeah.
So this gap correction is a really burning situation. Yeah? I really love it.
Now they are telling it is gap management, no more gap correction.
Yeah.
It is gap management.
No, let me come. Can I talk for half a minute?
Yeah.
You can talk for half an hour, no problem.
Okay. So let's learn something. So first we said correction, then we said management. So can I go ahead and one step say gap prevention?
Prevention.
So if we are a radiation oncologist, we respect OARs. So if you can understand this patient is going to have a neutropenia, or possibility, you always try to reduce the chemo dose, or give it in such a fashion that it is not there. And what is the big bane of chemoradiation? As madam said, esophagitis.
Yes.
So a neutropenia, which is manageable with sometimes growth factors or infusion, not afebrile. We are talking of only afebrile situation here. So the next week is mucosa is going to be affected, and the fungus is going to come there. So if you start your antifungal at the time of neutropenia, which you do, continue those things. Give them the nucane or the lignocaines. See that this parenteral nutrition is taken care of. and believe me, out of 10, 7 will sail through without any gaps. 3, you may have to do something because the total count is quite low. So ANC is something like 500, 600. Lot of esophagus is there. Tumor is big. You don't want to push. Patient condition is little bit low. So as Dr. Kamal said, we should do a planned situation respecting OARs, and the most important is overall treatment time. If we follow not Saturday is your working day, hopefully Monday, if it is part of the working day, see, instead of treating 5 days a week, can you take it 6 fraction a week and try to compensate those things? Believe me, you will gain a lot. I'm done. Thank you, Suman.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I probably I will take one more question, and it was again from Dr. Arman Reza Chaudhuri. His question was role of adaptive radiotherapy in lung cancer. Role of adaptive radiotherapy, sir. So JP sir.
Madam के लिए.
JP,
Sir,
sir,
this question is to
you
Dr. JP,
proceed,
sir.
sir. You proceed.
Madam, sure?
Yeah, of course.
No,
Okay.
sir, this question is to you, sir.
You.
Okay. So, in my textbook, why we want to adapt? So, there can be few things which happen in the lung, unlike bit of the head neck situation or something. And we should be able to prepare ourselves much before that this patient may need adaptive radiation. So which are the patients who are going to need adaptive? So there is a big lecture on that someday. Dr. Kamaluddin or Suman will give that lecture. But I'll tell you the basic thing. Suppose that patient has a collapsed lung because of the part of the endobronchial lesion with 30 gray or so, or 20, 25 gray or 40 gray, that is going to open up and the tumor may get displaced. So whatever our PTV, it will change. So we need to give and adapt to that. Or because of the inflammation, there may be sometimes a aseptic pleural effusion, or the tumor has displaced so close to the spinal cord area or the vertebral column area that if you don't take care of it, you will either overdose the spinal cord or the esophagus and underdose the tumor. So we adapt so that to improve our total dose to the PTV. So that is the reason we need to be very careful in patients where there was a consolidation or obstructive pneumonitis, or there was a large volume disease, or there is some effusion which is happening. And the best way to understand, because we may not have that IGRT, 3D IGRT facility everywhere. So generally, what I used to do in earlier times, religiously I used to auscultate and mark my area on a review paper what I have auscultated. In any case of doubt, I used to do X-ray chest. So that used to give me a clearer picture. And if required, X-ray chest, not PA only, it was lateral view also. Okay. Or worst case scenario, if I had access to a CT, if I don't have an IGRT machine, do a fresh CT, a plain CT will do. Then fuse it over and see what are the changes which are happening. I hope in brief I tried to explain things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I hope Dr.
Suman, I have a question.
Okay. Please.
Thank you, Lima, for your very nice presentation. Yeah, we are working to JP sir. We are working in cobalt machine in Chittagong, but there are so many limitations. In a central tumor, we are giving only 39 grain, 13 fractions. Is it only palliative dose? Can we do anything better than that?
You are asking a very tough one. So let's understand what are the challenges of. So they are like my father, in Chittagong where we are treating. So what are the challenges of a telecobalt machine and the lung? If we understand that, so substantial number of patients we will be able to treat, and really a good thing, good patient where you think really needs a combined treatment, aggressive treatment, and a very sharp things. So we need to send them back to their Dhaka or somewhere, right, where there is a facility for LA. So classically in lung, what happens because of the penumbra and poor depth dose characteristics, we are treating an unnecessary large volume of lung. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In a large, so I know that is a limitation. I personally don't prefer it, but यार खाने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं है तो एक सूखा रोटी तो चलेगा ना, कुछ तो पैलिएशन होता है ना, तो वो छोड़ने का नहीं है. वो बेचारा चिटागोंग से ढाका भी नहीं आ पाएगा तो उसको कोई इलाज नहीं होगा. I'm so sorry, I'm speaking in Hindi.
No.
Not come from Chittagong to Dhaka, he's not going to get any local benefit. So whatever we can do in the name of Almighty, put our hands like we are treating our near and dear ones, and let's do the best, whatever way we can in our limited capacity.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I hope there is one more question that is from Dr. Tasnim Hossain. I think Dr. Tasnim probably got her answered by this time from JP Agarwal sir. It was regarding how to manage the radiation-induced toxicities. So that's all from the question answer session. Now I will proceed today's case discussion. I need a volunteer who is there to accept as a volunteer.
अरे बहुत पड़ता है यार, तुम लोग रात के 10 बज गए.
Not 10, it is 10:30 in Bangladesh.
Okay, sir.
মা দেখো এত পড়াশোনা আবার হয় না, আমি তো ঘুমাওর মানি. না whatever they need to learn, I am there with you all, dear.
Dr. Kamal and Shumon keep us running in the whole lockdown time. We are now tired.
So who is there to, sir, please. So one more session left, sir, and then after the quiz.
What happened, Shumon?
Nothing. I'm just sharing my screen.
Okay.
So who is there to volunteer?
So when you have a faculty like JP, always calculate half hour more for the question answer.
No, I am there. I can volunteer.
That is the rule of thumb.
No, sir. I don't need.
Don't miss the chance.
Don't miss the chance. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
don't miss the chance.
So who is there to volunteer? No hesitation. Please proceed. Who is there? Dr. Riyad, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's question regarding the combined modality treatment for non-small cell lung cancer. I hope it would not be very difficult, as Dr. Shahida Alam has given a details description, details presentation regarding these topics. Let's have an assumptive case. It's a 65 years old male patient. Orphan status ECOG 1. CT scan chest 6 MS. Right upper lobe with mediastinal adenopathy. So it is T3N2 disease. FNAC done, adenocarcinoma. Patient has multiple comorbidities, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, ISD. So what more investigations you need to do regarding further proceedings, Dr. Riyad?
Sir, I want to do core biopsy, sir. CT guided core biopsy and molecular profiling.
Okay, so in T3 and
And-
2 disease, you
and-
will, okay.
And metastatic workup and other metastatic workup.
What type of test you want to do for metastatic workup?
Sir, I want to do a CT abdomen, brain, MRI brain, or PET CT or brain MRI, PET CT and brain MRI.
Okay, so you need to do some further investigations for
Yes,
metastatic
sir.
workup. Let's see what is the CCN guidelines are saying. So you can see that for stage 3A and 3B, we need to do a PET CT scan if it is not previously done. Don't forget to do brain MRI. Don't forget to do. But sometimes we think that the cost issue is there, but you could find at the end that your
Yes, sir.
whole effort has gone in wind without doing this MRI, because probably the patient has a asymptomatic brain lesion in brain. So that's why the brain MRI, you don't forget to do this brain
Yes,
MRI.
sir.
Okay, let's see. So we have worked up these patients with all the works, metastatic workup, and ultimately it comes with T3 and 2 disease. So what is the treatment of choice? So for these patients, what do you think? What is the right treatment of choice for this patient?
Sir, I would consider concurrent chemoradiotherapy.
So you are preferring concurrent chemoradiation
Yes, sir.
therapy. Okay, let's see. So there are different type of options: surgery, radiation therapy alone, sequential chemoradiotherapy, concurrent chemoradiation therapy, and trimodality treatment. So we are not going to focus regarding surgery or radiation therapy alone. We could discuss regarding the sequential chemoradiation therapy, because this is very familiar over here in Bangladesh.
Yes, sir.
So why not sequential chemoradiation therapy, Dr. Riyad? As we are practicing over here, 4 cycles chemotherapy followed by radiation therapy. This is a very regular practice over here. Why not sequential chemotherapy? Why you are preferring concurrent chemoradiation therapy?
As Madam, I think Madam showed very well. Madam showed us concurrent chemoradiotherapy increase overall survival, decrease local recurrence, and increase response rate more than sequential chemoradiotherapy. But if patient can't tolerate, then we consider sequential chemoradiotherapy. If patient can't tolerate the concurrent chemoradiotherapy, then we consider sequential chemoradiation.
Thank you, Dr. Riyad. Very rightly said. You can see that this is the meta-analysis published in 1995. You could see that sequential chemoradiation therapy versus only chemotherapy, there is absolute benefit 4% at 2 years. So this was the study which was done to compare surgery or radiotherapy alone versus chemotherapy. So there is a role of sequential chemoradiotherapy versus radiation therapy or surgery alone. But when this compared with concurrent chemoradiation therapy, this operant meta-analysis 2010, you could see that this line is superior than this line, that this concurrent chemoradiation therapy arm is superior to sequential line, and there is a 4.5% survival benefit at 5 years. Not only that, there is another study that is RTOG 9410. It was also tried to find out this question, whether sequential chemotherapy or concurrent chemotherapy, which one is superior. You could see the red line is superior and it is the concurrent CTRT. But keep it in mind that acute grade 3 to 5 toxicities, that means that esophageal toxicity is quite high in the concurrent chemoradiation therapy. So the concurrent chemoradiation therapy is superior than sequential chemoradiotherapy. So now, Riyad, what is the dose you are preferred to concurrent chemoradiation therapy? What is the dose you are going to offer to your patient?
I would like at least 60 gray. But
At least
60 gray.
At least 60 gray in which fraction?
In conventional 2 gray per fraction over 6 weeks.
Oh. So that as per the guidelines or literature, you could say you were correctly said the 60 to 66 gray, 30 to 35 fractions. So as there is a saying that the more radiation therapy, more local control, more overall survival. So are you in favor of more radiation therapy? Why not to give 674? You do have Suppose you do have 4D CT, you do have a very fine true beam machines, IGRT, with all recent facilities. Why not to give more radiation therapy? Why not 74 gray or 80 gray? Why not?
As per RTOG 0617 trial, dose escalation doesn't increase any overall survival but may have harmful effect.
Thank you, Riyad. You are a very smart and advanced reader. I could find that this RTOG 0617 study, no defined role of dose escalation. You can see this very interesting finding that 0617 RTOG, it thought that the higher dose would produce some better control, but you could see here is a different line. That the green line, the high dose line, local progression rate is higher. Same happen over there, that the survival rate is higher with the red line. So it is absolutely just opposite what was expected by the investigator. The higher disease, higher dose, it fails to produce any better outcome, rather it produces a decreased outcome in local progression rate and overall survival rate. It's a very interesting, I don't know what actually happened, but they tried to give an answer that the higher dose time probably could take a larger time, which cause repopulation, which might play a role for this poorer outcome. But as this RTOG 0617 says that no further benefit with dose escalation. So we should try to give our patient at 60 to 66 dose. So you have preferred radiation therapy 60 to 66 day. Which chemotherapy combination you would like to combine with the radiation therapy? Which combination chemotherapy?
Sir, I would like to use carboplatin and pemetrexed.
Carboplatin with pemetrexed.
Pemetrexed.
Okay. So you are going to offer a very costly regimen instead of Pacli carbo or cisplatin etoposide. Why, Riyad? Why you are considering pemetrexed? Why?
As pemetrexed carboplatin or pemetrexed cisplatin is the category 1 selected drug for non-squamous variety non-small cell lung cancer.
Yeah, also.
Okay, you were correct. You could use these drugs, carboplatin or pemetrexed. You could see that the NCCN guidelines over there. These are the drugs, and it was discussed by Dr. Shahida Alam. That these are the combination of chemotherapy that could offer with, as it is adenocarcinoma. So you could offer pemetrexed and carboplatin along with your radiation therapy schedule. So you can see that you could use any drugs, the third generation drugs, Taxol, gemcitabine, reduced dose. Cisplatin etoposide you could offer with full dose. Actually, cisplatin etoposide is the basics of concurrent CTRT. Carboplatin paclitaxel. But regarding the Proclaim trial, no benefit with the pemetrexed in concurrent setting. So it was equal outcome. So you can consider this pemetrexed regarding its cost issue. So you can achieve equal outcome with carboplatin paclitaxel in concurrent setting. So till date, there is no support for using TKI in the concurrent setting. So patient received 60 day 30 fractions along with Pacli and carbo. Paclitaxel was 50 milligram and carbo AUC2, very standard dose. After 6 weeks, CT scan test shows partial response. Now what to do? Riyad? After CTRT, there is partial response. Residual is there.
I would maybe follow-up may be considered because, sir, as per now, there is no role of consolidation therapy, no benefit from consolidation therapy. Then follow-up can be considered and repeat imaging after 12 weeks.
So you were just trying to repeating the principle of SBRT over here. So you just want to keep your patient on observation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. No benefit with consolidation chemotherapy, but is there any role of immunotherapy, Dr. Riyad? in this immunotherapy, immune checkpoints arena, would you think to use immunotherapy for this patient?
Maybe, sir, durvalumab may be considered.
Okay, okay, very rightly said. So you can see that there is no benefit to induction chemotherapy, no benefit to consolidation chemotherapy. Let's see what immunotherapy has done. This is the Pacific trial, a very landmark trial, a practice-changing papers. You could see that patient, those who were treated with concurrent CTRT at least more than 2 cycles and receive at least partial response. Of course, they are not progressed. So within 1 to 42 days, they have tried with durvalumab in one arm and another arm they have tried with placebo. And very interestingly, they found that the median progression-free survival, 12-month progression-free survival, you could see that hazard ratio 5.2, and you can see the difference between these two lines regarding the progression-free survival. And not only that, you can see that 24 months survival, there is around 11% benefit. So considering this benefit in progression-free survival and overall survival, all the endorsing societies, NCCNs, ESMO, endorse this durvalumab, as already said by Jai Prakash Agarwal sir, that if price was not a concern, then he should treat all the patients with durvalumab, because the studies are saying such powerful report. So we could consider this durvalumab, and it should be 15 days interval, 10 milligram per kg body weight, up to 1 year. So durvalumab is a drug to consider for those who achieved at least partial response after concurrent CTRT, and ultimately it will produce a good response. So we have tried durvalumab. So what else we could offer to this group of patients for further positive outcome? So is there anything that can in your mind that can probably offer good outcome? Is there anything? Riyad?
Sir, I can't think anything.
Oh, you can. So, how much progress we have made in inoperable stage 3 lung cancer? You could see that the RT 2-year survival 15%, CTRT 30%. So even with the PET CT area, the percentage is not very convincing. So what we should offer? So what combination of treatment we can offer for potentially resectable N2 disease? So if the patient is potentially resectable N2 disease, that are mediastinal lymph nodes that can be resected, so what treatment you can offer?
Preoperative chemotherapy.
So, preoperative means you are thinking for a surgery, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. Here is the study that URTC 08941. After induction, after chemotherapy, they compare surgery versus radiotherapy, no benefit. You can see the intergroup 0139 or RTOG 9309 trial. You could see that CTRT surgery arm is quite superior, though it was not statistically significant. And you could see that SEC 1600 trial, they have tried chemotherapy followed by radiation therapy and in one arm chemotherapy and then surgery, and finally they get non-statistical significant result. But in one arm, the radiation therapy arm, their result is quite convincing, though it was not significant. So you could consider this combination of treatment, chemo, radiation therapy followed by surgery, for a particularly selected group of groups. In NCCN guidelines, they have said that the mediastinal lymph nodes, if it is not more than 3 centimeters, you could consider it as potentially resectable. So you could offer these sorts of treatment for this group of patients. So now come to see the future directions. So individualized treatment, as we have already discussed, the adaptive dose escalation. Sometimes we could consider personalized RT dose. Whether we could combine with some novel agents or proton therapy. Just to give an idea regarding some future study, some induction chemotherapy followed by multiple dose scheme is tried by this ADSCAN trial. And here in the Concord trial, if the patient is not fit for chemotherapy, then we could try some targeted drugs like olaparib, AZD trial, or something stats. So these are the upcoming trials which could give us some direction in this group of patients. And here come another trial, the Pacific 2. The Pacific trial shows some brilliant results. So why not to treat with from the very beginning? So from the concurrent CTRT, durvalumab is there. And let's see, it was started from March 2018. And we have to wait for his outcome. So that's all, Riyad, for your brilliant answer. And as I expected, you have done a very good answer. So let us summarize. So the summary is that concurrent chemoradiation therapy is the standard of treatment. Overall survival benefit to consolidation durvalumab. No benefit with radiotherapy with dose escalation. Trimodality treatment can be appropriate for selected operable groups, and those who do not have a tumor more than 3 centimeter mediastinal nodes. And improved RT techniques may allow greater individualizations. So thank you, Riyad. So that's all
Thank you, sir.
regarding this presentation. Thank you very much. So may I request, Shomir, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I would like to request you to proceed with the quiz,
Sure, sir.
because it is already 10:40.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir, please.
So, a couple of things. One is we should really review the status of the comorbidity
Yes.
in this group of patients. The patient is having hypertension, diabetes, and IHD. So sometimes you may need to really work upon that. Acha, quiz has started. I'm so sorry.
Okay, sir. No, you can proceed, sir.
नहीं, but उनको disturb होगा. Let's see the questions. I can't play the quiz, na?
You have to click the Google link in the chat box, sir. Then you will see the question.
अच्छा ऐसा है क्या? I'm sorry, I'm so weak यार. Chat box में जाके Google link. Chat box में गया, Google links में भरा.
सर डिस्क्वालिफाइड है आप, आपके लिए तो ये क्विज नहीं है सर,
अरे मैं खाली पढ़ रहा है,
बच्चे लोग के लिए.
नहीं मैं सबसे छोटा बच्चा है.
ठीक है, नहीं हाई सर सबसे छोटा है ना, उसने क्लेम किया. सबसे यंग है, छोटा नहीं, सबसे यंग है.
अच्छा सवाल है. Good. I think, is it an exam preparation?
So the winner is going to get a exciting prize.
Good. Now, is is it also for the exams? Because I could see the good things, means step-by-step questions.
Yeah.
And this is the timer.
Yes, sir. This is the timer.
Suman, this is also information that there are some people in India who are taking physics classes.
Yes, sir.
You know Cyan?
Yes, Cyan.
So he's taking physics classes for few, and sometimes we have Monday, Wednesday, the class, but they are at very odd times.
What time is it, sir?
No, it is Zoom. So it is first 50, first come, first serve basis, because the Zoom link is for limited people.
Okay, sir.
I am not sure. We are trying to expand it. Let's hope.
Okay, sir. If there is any possibility, then we will
Yeah.
try to plan, sir.
So it is a personal Zoom, I think. It is there for 40 minutes and some 50 people. Am I right? Or something is going on. So we are trying to get some 1,000 people Zoom.
Okay.
Let's hope.
JP, can you talk to your radiology department? We are looking for a organize a session on radiology on lung. So it will be for both the pulmonologist and the oncologist, normal anatomy and some pathology, and also some tips and tricks for the this contouring.
Contouring, then you have to speak to radiation oncologist.
Yeah, we need to make a combination, radiology and radiation oncology both, you know. Basic they will teach, explain, then the radiation oncology will give these tips of this contouring.
Okay.
So we are thinking of some module like this, say for one for lung, one for female pelvis, you know, one for male, one for GI, one for head and
I'll
neck.
ask Anil or Naveen
Yep.
to help you all.
Yeah, can you please connect so that I can contact with them, because we are thinking of, there is a huge need for this radiological anatomy.
कितना simple है.
अरे सिंपल तो आपके लिए है, मेरे लिए नहीं है तो ना. आप जैसे जैसे स्टेशन लिम्फ नोड के स्टेशन बताता है ना, वो तो हमारा पाम भी इतना सही नहीं है.
अरे ऐसा मत करो.
Kamal bhai, we want to hear some Bangla from JP sir.
Come?
From JP sir, Bangla.
He speaks better Bengali than
Very good Bangla.
আমি তো এখানে ঘুমোর মোডে ঘুমোর মোডে আছি.
So thank you, sir. Quiz time is over. Now we would like to close our session. So I would like to request our scientific secretary, Dr. F.M. Kamaluddin, to say a few words regarding this program. Dr. F.M. Kamaluddin.
So, Suman, thank you for taking the chair. I am having a relaxed time, and I am enjoying that there is no stress. I can listen and I can make some comment. So very good done and better than me. So congratulations for running the session very nicely. And I can see that the presenter has created so much enthusiasm that there are so many questions. And not going to make any comment about our faculty, guest faculty, because I am sure if we allow more 1 hour discussion to go on when you will be answering. So thanks to everybody. And I think it was a very great session, and we can understand that lung is the very high percentage. So there is big demand in our students and they are benefited. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal bhai. May I request our faculties, Professor J.P. Agarwal sir, to say a few words. Yes, last word from you.
Absolutely loved it. High subs blessings are required. That's the reason.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I would like to request our chairman, Professor M.A. Haisat, to conclude this session. Thank you, sir.
So when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming. I thought I'm having a dream in my sleep. All these lectures and discussions. No, it was today's particularly Limal lecture was good.
Yes, sir.
Discussions took place very nicely. And JP has described very nicely in a simple English. He has described all these things, how to treat lung and how to control lung and how to treat CT scan and all these things. Thank you very much, JP.
Thank you, sir. Pranam, sir.
Thank you. So today's quiz winner is Dr. Tasneem Hussain. She scored 90. So
Good,
great congratulations for Dr. Tasneem Hussain. And with these words, with kind permission of today's chair, Professor M.A. Haisat, I would like to conclude this session.
Okay, bye-bye. Allah, bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.
Goodbye, good night, JP.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody, sir.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Bye.